morning, you guys. Welcome back to the show. This is the Arroyo Show. I'm Brandon Arroyo. If it's your first time here, please give it a thumbs up and a subscribe. What a guest we have for you today. You can see in the role of Louise in the upcoming film Lost Girls and Love Hotels, set for release in the United States on September the 4th. Welcome to the show, Kate Easton. How are you today?
Hi, how are you? I'm good.
Oh, fantastic. It's so good to see you. Are you enjoying a little bit of nice, warm Los Angeles weather today?
I am, actually. I mean, it's pretty warm every day, but that's a delight, right?
You know what's interesting is I had not known until I moved out there that Hollywood can be like 20 degrees cooler than it is up in the valley. It's going to be 100 degrees this week in the valley, but down in Hollywood, still only like in the 80s. So it's interesting.
Yes.
The more you know. All right, so we've been hearing about this project since way back in the mid 2017. Production has ended. What will you remember the most about your time on this project?
Ooh, so much. I mean, first of all, anytime I get an acting job, I'm always so grateful and so thrilled. You know, my agent or manager calls me to give me the news and I cry every time because I'm just so thrilled. So just always grateful for the work. And then obviously working internationally is always so fun. So this was my first job that I got to go outside of the US to work. So being in Tokyo and then getting to work with such an incredible cast. We had Alex and Carice and they're just amazing. So it was I always joy.
It's so curious to me to hear those booking stories. I love them so much. Do you remember where you were when you got the phone call? Who the first person was you called to tell that you were going to be working overseas on a film?
Oh, yes, I do. Because I just talked to the director like a couple days before that. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. Like I knew it was down to me and maybe a couple other people. So I was just walking down the street in New York. And it's like whenever your agent calls you and like a couple times and I'd missed it, I was like, oh, this is something. So I picked up the phone and it was like, okay, you need to get ready to go to Tokyo next week. And you're going to be there for like 2.5 weeks. And I was like, great. And I always call my parents first. So it's always just such a little thrill.
And that's probably where the tears start flowing, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, no, my agents know that I cry. I think they secretly like being the one to get to call me because I get so emotional. They're like, wow, you've been doing this for 10 years and you still cry every time.
It's great, though, that the passion is still there like that. It's great when you can be in a career like that you still care about so much. So films that are an adaptation from a novel always come with a passionate fan base that's sort of semi-familiar with the subject material already. Were you aware of the novel when you first heard of this project? And is it helpful when you have material that's developed around a character that's already developed?
Yeah, I knew about the project because it had actually been circulating in Hollywood for many years. I think Jean-Marc Vallée, who I am so obsessed with as a director, was attached to it at one point with Kate Bosworth. So I'd heard it so many times. But then, you know, what was really nice about it is Catherine, who wrote the novel, also wrote the screenplay. And I think that's more rare than it's not. So she actually ended up being on set. So having that person who wrote the story at the beginning actually be with you as you're creating your character was just incredible. And she's amazing.
So I have to ask you about these YouTube videos with you, Morgan Malley, and Alexandra Daddario. So she's also one of your co-stars in the movie. So roommate makeovers, shotgunning a beer tutorial, battling with and opening a wine bottle. If you haven't seen these videos yet, I'm going on the record as saying it's my YouTube binge watch recommend for July. It's like the 20-something version of those videos we all loved to make on YouTube back in like the mid 2000s. How did these come about, and what is the story here?
Well, the truth is we've just all been stuck together for this entire, quarantining situation. We actually really like each other, so it helps. So I think when you mix boredom with your best friends, with the fact that you're all equal hams, like we just really like attention, you just get that camera rolling. You never know what's going to happen. So yeah, we've had it's been a good time.
And it's also like so fun. Like the videos just feel like you're hanging out with people that you would want to be hanging out with. Where did you first meet Morgan and Alexandra?
So I first met Alex on Lost Girls and Love Hotels. We became friends. We ended up working on another film together called Can You Keep a Secret, like a year later. So we're also trying to get a third film for our third year of friendship together. So putting it out there. And so we became friends based on that. And then she knows Morgan. So then the three of us became pals.
That's so exciting. And for those of you guys who haven't seen the YouTube videos yet, go check them out. Highly recommended and pretty binge-worthy, if I do say so myself. All right, so this November will officially be the 10-year anniversary of Love and Other Drugs. When you look back on portraying Amber, what do you remember about your time on that project?
God, that was amazing because that was my first film. So I had just moved to LA maybe a year before, and it actually shoots in Pittsburgh, which is where I'm from. So the casting director, Donna Belijack there, called Vicky Thomas, the casting director in LA, and was like, you should see this girl. I went in for Vicky. She took me directly to Ed Zwick's office, and I'm such a huge fan of his. And he was just, I honestly think the best part of that was working with Ed Zwick and Jake Gyllenhaal, and having that as my first film experience was just incredible.
All right, so circling back to the film, our main character, Margaret, falls for a dashing man despite the dangers of tradition that hinders their chance of being together. In your career, acting traditionally, a very competitive field, how do you keep yourself motivated to keep passionate in a field where things can hinder your passion so easily?
You know, that's such a good question. I have to say, the one thing that I don't struggle with is motivation because it's the only thing I want to do. But I get rejected 99% of the time. So I feel like every time I get rejected, it's just one more person that I get to prove wrong eventually. Right. But more than that, it's just the fact that I love it so much. It's easy to do it and fight for it when that's the only thing you want to do. So I'm grateful.
As we begin to wind down the interview here, we have the who, what, when, where, and which. They are your final 5 questions. The first one is, who do you speak the most with right now?
I would say my family and probably 7 or 8 girlfriends in LA, New York, Pittsburgh, and Raleigh. They're kind of all scattered.
What item do you use the most each day that is not your phone or a computer?
A mask.
A mask. Oh, yes, that's right. How could I forget about those things? All right. When did you know that you wanted to be in entertainment?
4th grade.
4th grade? What happened then? Was it just, clicked?
I was V1. Yeah, I just remember like begging my parents to let me take acting classes. And so it was like my birthday and Christmas present every year because they were so expensive. And so I just was like, this is all I want to do. And then 7th grade, I was like, I'm going to move to LA after college. And that's what I did.
Oh my God. That just like hit me right there in the feels. Like hit me right there. Like it sunk in. So I got to ask, with this being something that you wanted to do for so long, and obviously you care so much about it, what was the feeling like when you finally got to LA where, you know, this is the city where things happen in entertainment and acting?
Yeah. Honestly, it's very overwhelming. It was the first time I had really left home. I'm so I love my family so much. I'm such a, little family person. So it was just really hard and overwhelming. And I remember every day for the first 6 months calling my mom crying and being like, I'm so lonely. This is so hard. And she's like, Kate, you can come home at any point. And I was like, no, there's just no way. I knew I was not going to go home, but it was a struggle that I had to get over. And I did. And then I moved to New York. And so I kind of do the whole bi-coastal thing. So it's a good balance, I think, to have both of those cities.
I think that's so important to share stories like that because anybody that moves to LA, I haven't met anybody that got there and instantly was like, oh, I think on my first day in LA, I moved there in January and I had flown from Cleveland to LA overnight. So I hadn't eaten or slept in 36 hours. It was a day where it was pouring down rain, which never happens in Los Angeles.
Never.
And I went to go get some food finally. The food got burnt, so I wasn't able to eat it. And then my phone died. I didn't know where I was at in the city. So I was in the rain with a dead phone and trying to figure out where I was living. So if you're going to LA, expect that the unexpected is going to happen. And it just
talk about stressful. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like we all have stories like that where you get there and you're like, okay, everything's going to be fine. And then it's one thing after another. And you're like, okay. But all of those things strengthen you, so even though it's difficult, you find your way.
And I love how Steve Harvey puts it. He calls it your turn back moment, where either you're going to just crumble under it and turn back and go home, or you're going to keep on moving forward and just take it one step at a time.
Totally. Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's so true.
It's so good. All right. So LA is a pretty dream vacation for a lot of people. Where is your dream vacation?
It's hard because I just want to go everywhere. I know that sounds like such a lame thing, but experience and travel, I I've really realized that I'm happiest when I'm moving and going. And I think it's because I'm just always wanting to meet new people and see new cultures and just the experience of all of that. So there's not one place you could put me that I wouldn't be happy in, just because I think there's something to get from everywhere.
And then finally, which song is your go-to for karaoke?
Okay, well, disclaimer, I have the world's worst voice, but that doesn't stop me from singing Mariah Carey, Always Be My Baby.
Oh.
And I have a dance to it, and I think there might be a TikTok to it. I don't know.
Uh-oh. Okay, so that needs to be seen and viewed and watched endlessly. I feel like that's going to be something that is just going to be unforgettable.
I don't know. It might be more tragic than it is good, but, you know. We'll see.
You can see her in the role of Louise in the upcoming film Lost Girls and Love Hotel, set for release in the United States September the 4th. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your time with us today, Kate Easton. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Hi, this is Kate Easton from Lost Girls and Love Hotels, and you are watching The ARROYO Show.